Epstein files, whenever there were, I don't think there was any evidence of Donald Trump being on the client files.
Yeah. I mean, Trump. I'd probably say Trump definitely knew about things that were happening. I don't think you can hang around Epstein that much. And the way he acts right now is kind of telling, in my opinion. How scared they look talking about it seems like it makes it seem like they know something.
Yeah, he also Elon also said in one of his tweets that was the reason why the Epstein files weren't being released. I don't know why. I don't think it's that reason, because we've already seen some of the client lists and Donald Trump's name was not on there. That's why I don't think it's the reason. It could be. I'm not gonna argue that, because we don't have enough evidence to prove whether it's right or wrong or anything like that. But mainly, I just wanted to talk to you. I think it's really dumb that we're having a Trump Musk fallout right now. I think it's kind of funny.
I mean, they're just people working in their own interests. It doesn't really matter. I mean, they all want to be in control. It's actually kind of funny. I think Trump. There is something they have on Trump, in my opinion, because they don't have like. Trump's not responding to anything in the way that. Okay, goodbye. Nice. What the heck was that? Who knows? Tell you what, though, I'll get off here real quick and make TikToks. TikToks are where the real progress happens, to be honest. TikToks get popping. Did he leave? Yeah, he did leave. Who knows? Who knows why? Maybe his dad said he's not allowed to debate politics on the internet anymore. That'd be pretty cool. Good rule. Good rule, dude. Can I do this now? Virtual cam? Oh, I think I can, actually. I can do a virtual cam. That's so cool. Can I do the actual source of it and make a virtual camera with this? Wow, I can. Beautiful. Okay. Delete this. Cam. Wow. TikTok. Just go hop on my smartphone and find TikTok debate panels to go on. For real, for real. That's how you gotta do it. That's how you gotta do it. Ice goes on. There you go. Now I'm on TikTok, where I belong, and I'm still gonna get no calls on there. Here you go. Dumpster fire. Charlie Kirk has proof that Trump was not on the Epstein list?
We're here
That's
at the
crazy.
Bitcoin.com.
Bitcoin.com. Yes, dude.
You guys make this show possible, and I love what is coming up in hour 2 today, which is our members call. It's one of my favorite things I do every single week. I interact with you. I learn from you. It's just awesome. And the last 24 hours has been fun. Let me kind of take you back to what happened here. So we've been here in Phoenix. I was in New York prior, earlier in the week, and hosting the program, pushing for the big, beautiful bill. So we had Stephen Miller on the program yesterday, which, by the way, Stephen Miller put forward one of the best presentations and defenses of the big, beautiful bill that anybody will see. It was phenomenal. I got thousands of emails, freedom@charliekirk.com. Charlie, I went from skeptical to convinced. Our entire show team roster, from Andrew to a lot of people, said they had reservations, but Stephen Miller's case that he made here in long form was incredibly persuasive. As Blake aptly put it, he said, look, this is a conservative wish list. I just wish we weren't bankrupt. And that's a great way to put it. Of course, we want more cuts, but this bill is a gift. It is electric. More tax cuts, more ICE agents, more border funding, more deregulation, more drill, baby, drill. I mean, it is just a conservative.
More drill, baby, drill. Some provisions include giving crypto gods access to bailouts from
Hello.
the banks before lenders. Hello.
Hey, sorry, I did not mean to hang up. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
And whenever I tried calling you back, it said that the call was busy or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
That
it
was
happens
weird.
sometimes.
Yeah. Anyway, what were we talking about?
I don't know.
think you were talking whenever I accidentally pressed the hang up button.
Trump is on the Epstein list. So is Elon Musk. They're best friends with them. So
I really don't think that they're best friends. Like, I don't think there's any evidence of him being on the client list. Like, I'm sure that there are thousands and thousands of people on the Epstein list because of, Trump lived on the same beach that he lived on, and I'm sure that a lot of his neighbors are also on there too because,
like Trump went on his plane 7 times. He's been on his boats. He's been at parties with them. He's been best friends with the family for a long time. He said he went out for girls with Epstein. Even recently, Ghislaine Maxwell, Trump wished her well, said they were good friends. He said he was good friends with P. Diddy as well. He considered pardoning P. Diddy like a week ago. So
yeah, I heard a little bit about that. I don't think he's going to end up pardoning him because of what he's done. I could be wrong. He might do it, and that's one
it
thing I
shouldn't
will
even be a
disagree with him
question,
on.
though. It should not.
Yeah.
Even, I mean, Trump just said he used to like me. He doesn't like me anymore, but I might still consider it. Like, it's just
Yeah.
the stuff Trump has said so far. Like, they say Democrats are P. Diddy and Epstein fans for 1/100th, like 1% of the information. Okay, and the fact that right now, Republicans are like, hey guys, it's a big conspiracy. Make sure we do some critical thinking before we jump on the gun or jump the gun too much. It's just kind of funny.
Yeah. I don't think he should pardon Diddy. I don't think he's going to, but it is a possibility. But I don't think he's going to do that. But yeah. So with the whole pardoning Diddy thing, there was this. I was watching a Dean and Parker video. There was this Trump supporter. He said that apparently Diddy had already been pardoned, which was not true. That hasn't happened. Hasn't happened at all.
Yeah, I would have
I
been
thought that was
celebrating.
kind of dumb. Did you see that too?
I would have been celebrating, man.
Yep. But what would you like to talk about?
I don't know. Things are pretty messed up right now. The big beautiful bill, is really bad for America. It's actually terrible. It takes away our ability to regulate AI. It gives crypto bankers bailout, preferential bailout, so they get bailed out first if there's like a crash or something over lenders. I mean, over borrowers. So like, people and consumers, if there was ever a bank bailout, it would always go to the crypto people first, even over traditional banks. There's a bunch of stuff in there that's like not that good.
Yeah. The big beautiful bill. I know that one of the 3 sections that was in there was ICE and deportations. I think. I can't remember the other 2 off the top of my head. Yeah, I just don't know the other 2, but I do know one is deportation. I think that would be a good thing within the big beautiful bill. You disagree?
Nothing means anything. There's ICE agents going and assaulting random people and going after workers and kids and high school students and college students. The idea was to get violent criminals out of America, but other than that, they have not done anything at all. I don't think they even care about crime, really. They just lie. They don't really do much. Their deportations are lower than Biden's and Obama's were. They suck at deportations, which is their job, because it's hard for them to find. It's really hard for them to find immigrants who are criminals. Okay, it's really hard for them to find them. So they need to invent enemies and that kind of stuff, and it's not good. There's a contract with this company called Palantir, which is making a private information database of all Americans that Trump is pushing. So that's not good either.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's true. You said that ICE doesn't care about deporting people, or you said that the numbers were lower than under Biden or Obama?
It's just stupid. It's a dumb thing for the country to focus on. There's not a big issue with violent immigration in America. There really is not any issue with that. They could devote some resources to it, and be fine, but they really don't care. They're going after people for speech, and they're going after people who are working jobs and stuff. It's just stupid.
Well, I think it is an issue with all the undocumented migrants that are heading over to this country, because you said that there aren't a lot of cases of assault or murder, but like I can name one, the whole Lake and Riley situation. There's been a lot
Yeah, that's
of
one thing, right?
immigrants that
That's
are,
one thing they bring up over and over and over again because it does not happen that
well, it's a
often, so
lot
they
more.
run out of cases.
It's just that that one's the most popular. I know that for sure, but there's actually a lot. Like, I think you should
Yeah,
look.
crimes happen. Donald Trump's best friend ran an international sex trafficking ring for children. Like his best friend did that. So yeah, I mean, people do crimes, but in terms of immigration, like it's hard for them to find immigrants who do crime. It's just hard for them to find that because it's a very low number. So when they talk about, oh, we're going to deport 10 million people and we got to deport thousands and thousands of these violent gang members, and all they're doing is raiding workplaces and raiding high schools and raiding colleges, it's really just dumb. They don't need more resources. The resources they are going to use to make databases are going to be databases they make for all Americans. So our privacy is being destroyed by like the big beautiful bill. It's just not good. There's no rational justification for the things they say.
What is in the big beautiful bill that lacks security?
So there's a bunch of different bureaucratic things that allow our personal private information to be sold to companies like Palantir, which is Peter Thiel's company. Peter Thiel's a tech oligarch who paid for JD Vance, JD Vance's entire career. If you look up Palantir, Palantir, okay, Peter Thiel's business, Palantir, and then this company is going to compile data on Americans, and it's not good. But there's other stuff that's like crypto companies get preferential treatment over everyone. There's a thing in the bill where states cannot regulate AI for 10 years, which is really bad, taking away states' rights to regulate things like AI. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene came out against that. So
Yeah. Yeah, totally. But one other thing with illegal migrants is a lot of people say that they take jobs away from working citizens of our country, and these illegal people who are taking away money possibilities and job possibilities from the people that live in our country, because you do think that we should put our own citizens above these illegal people, correct?
if they cared about putting America first, they would not be terrorizing international students and threatening to cut off all international students. They bring tons of money to America, create tons of jobs. Immigrants in general do very productive jobs for America. They're business owners. They help keep churches alive. Like right now, they're tearing communities apart in their pursuit of mass deportations. There is not this huge pool of Americans out there unable to get jobs with immigrants stealing them. If you look at economic data, the biggest driver of wages not going up for the white working class, for example, is monopolies and corporate control of our entire economic and political process. Immigrants are not even top 10 on the list of the most important things to working class American, but Americans focus on that because immigrants are usually, they are the other, they're outsiders, they usually different skin color, different culture, different language, so they're easy to make a villain out of. But yeah, right now there's no data that you can show me that says immigrants being deported are going to be good for Americans. The only data I see about this is that mass deportations are going to cut jobs in total for our economy because our economy is going to shrink. It's going to make America less safe because people are going to be scared to go to court dates and everything because ICE is camping outside court dates like little pussies. Sorry for my language.
It's okay.
But yeah, like there's a whole thing right now where people are like, well, kick out the immigrant, give us the jobs. There are too many jobs in America right now, honestly. And the jobs that immigrants do, Americans are not going to do for the wages that that people do the jobs many immigrants do, Americans are not going to do even for decent pay. Immigrants are a very positive thing in America. If we want to focus on criminals and stuff, I think we're all for that. But the Republican mentality of like, this is our number one issue, and it just should not be the number one issue for anyone.
Yeah. But so you know how close LA is to the Mexican border? It's still a ways, but it's pretty close. And if we look at unemployment rates in LA that are the citizens, documented citizens of our country, we look at the employment rate. Like if you just drive through LA, and you will see so many homeless people. And if we took away jobs that were, like for example, ICE, if they went after every single illegal immigrant that was in LA, and if they replaced it with the homeless citizens of our country, the homeless rate would be much lower, wouldn't it? If we had homeless people working instead of the illegals taking over our jobs and taking over job opportunities for our citizens.
People are usually homeless because of mental health issues, and because of a lack of a social structure, a lack of a concept of what a healthy life looks like. Jobs are not the issue for why people are homeless when you see people on the streets. There's a different kind of homelessness that is a result of a lack of jobs, but that's a whole nother thing. So like, for example, in LA, if someone works as like a bartender or as a maintenance worker in LA, they cannot afford to live in LA because all the housing prices in LA are priced for the millionaires that these people work for. So the janitors cannot live in LA. So they might live out of their cars. They might have to commute in, which is terrible for the transport they have in LA. I mean, even for that issue, immigrants are not the issue. I mean, immigrants are probably a benefit to the overall LA economy. I'm pretty sure LA is probably like 30 or 40% immigrant. So it's just like, you could, I mean, if you've ever find data somewhere to show me, all data I've ever seen says immigrants are good for the economy. They barely affect wages at all. It's not even noticeable how much they affect wages. And overall, like, immigrants have a lower crime rate than naturally born Americans. That's the only three things I see across all the data, or at least 99% of the data.
Well, I don't know if we have data that we can compare that says, oh, this is crime lower than illegal immigrants compared to Americans, because we could tell the we know a lot easier an American citizen rather than an illegal citizen or an illegal immigrant, because it's really hard to tell if someone is an illegal immigrant, which is why it takes ICE a long time to recognize these people who we're trying to deport, where all we have to do is to find a U.S. citizen, we just have to be like, show ID, they'll give ID, simple as that. But also, one thing, I think I could be wrong on this, I'm just guessing. I think the most common country that people go to the U.S. from is Mexico. And if we look at how bad the Mexicans are to, for example, teenage girls, it's terrible. Like the cartel, what they do to teenage or sometimes even adult females. So I don't think we should have open borders, letting all those terrible, bad people into
Well,
our
we
country.
do not have open borders. Again, we don't have open borders. Okay, this is
Well,
one
we
thing
did.
I just want to say: we don't have open borders. We do not have open borders. You can understand immigration
not
law,
right
or you
now.
could sound silly. No, we did not ever have open borders. Okay, and in the past 20 years, past 30 years, we have not had open borders. We have had asylum laws. We've had laws you might disagree with, but we don't have open borders. Saying we have open borders, it just does not make it does not make sense. We don't have open borders. Like, according to the law, we do not. But like, the people that do crimes, okay, they don't want to come to America. That's why the crime rate is so low. If you come to America, you're running away from places that are dominated by cartels and by gang members. Okay, so you run from those places. You come to America. You try to do whatever you can to not be deported. That's why you see immigrants not showing up in crime data as much. One of the reasons is because they stay out of crime. They don't want to be caught doing something. They would never, like, when Republicans say immigrants are voting in elections, it's one of the dumbest possible things you can believe, because someone here illegally or undocumented is not going to risk their status by voting in a federal election, especially in a state like California. But Republicans think for some reason there's illegal immigrants voting in frickin' California, where they affect nothing for federal elections. But yeah, the immigrants, like I said, there's no data. You could say, oh, they treat people bad there. Yeah, that's why people are fleeing to get to America. But I mean, they would just stay there if they want to do crime. There's no law enforcement that can control them there, but there is here.
Yeah, but Also, the problem with that is that what was I about to say? So, with the whole voting situation, with the illegal migrants voting, I don't know the exact number, but there are some states that you do not require an ID, so you could walk into the booth and vote, and that's it. Because there are some states you do not require an ID for, and I think it's very, very easy for someone to vote unidentified, especially in those type of states.
It's really not easy. So like, for example, if I go to my polling place, my neighbors are working it. I need to provide ID to sign up to vote. I don't need ID to go vote, but I need ID to register to vote. It's my neighbors doing it. They test signatures. Okay, you have to sign a paper, and they test your signature versus another signature that's on file when you actually show up. And this is in a state that has less restrictive laws. In a place like I'm in Pennsylvania, the system is very complex. There's many checks and balances. The voting fraud rate is really low as a result. And for immigrants, again, they are not risking their status by illegally voting in an election. And it's really easy to find when there's fraud. But there's larger amounts of fraud from Republicans than there are Democrats in the data we do have.
All right. Could you actually pull up that data for me if you can? If you can't, that's totally fine. Could you pull that up on your live so you could check that out? It could be now or it could be
I'm
later.
not gonna.
or
Yeah,
after
I
this
could do
call.
it. I could do it a different stream, but like in general, if you look up any stories of voter fraud from 2020 election, there's a couple cases of guys trying to vote for like dead grandparents or their dead parents. There's Trump voters. There's one woman who got sent to jail, I believe, in like Arizona. That was a big Trump lady. Like her case is really bad. She tried manipulating the ballots and the vote. So like all the cases that I've seen, okay, have been on the Trump side. There's one case of someone voting in Michigan who's not a citizen, but I think they made a mistake. They weren't like trying to vote to like swing an election illegally. So yeah, the claim like the claim that there is illegal immigrants voting in elections on its face to me is really misguided. And then the claim that says, oh, they're importing people to vote in these states. Like these immigrants are voting largely Republican. Like they're very fundamentalist Christian. Like they are voting Republican. There's not a huge advantage for Democrats, and they're also going to states where they're not going to change the overall election results anyway. And also they're not going to risk their status on voting, and if they did risk their status, they'd have no chance of actually swinging any elections. Like there's just no logical through line here.
Yeah. I don't really want to try and be the conspiracy theorist that you come and debate, but I'm sure that there is a lot more voter fraud than the data that we have right now.
You know, I would say that
We need-
Donald Trump was president during the 2020 election. Donald Trump is president now. Okay, president. He has all the intelligence agencies now, especially. He has been able to bring up zero evidence of voter fraud. Zero evidence. All the cases in Pennsylvania and Georgia that he lost in 2020, Trump has given zero evidence of any voter fraud anywhere. They may have found like one or two votes in some random states, but in terms of voter fraud, they have proven nothing in any case, and he has the entire world at his hands. All right, he probably would show someone any evidence at all if they did have it. I would assume.
Yeah, probably. I don't know too much about the whole lawful situation that's going on with Trump trying to persuade the 2020 elections and prove that they were false, but I think it's too late anyway. For the last part of Biden's term, he wasn't even being president anyway because he was dealing with his prostate cancer, so it doesn't matter that much because it's already been dealt and over with. I think he should have pushed a lot harder for the 2020 election or possible fraud in 2020 rather than now because it's already been over with. And that's another thing that I really hate about that we're talking so much about right now because a lot of people are saying this is what Kamala Harris would have done if she was president so far versus what Trump's gotten done because it's like you lost. Why are you still complaining? So I think that's also what MAGA did a lot in 2022. So I think that there's corruption in both parties for sure.
Just like as you develop into a older individual, like one party again tried overturning an election. They still say it's stolen. Their lies resulted in a riot at the Capitol, which was the first time the peaceful transfer of power was delayed. Democrats just like they just like are upset they lost, and there's not really any comparison at all with corruption in terms of corruption. I mean, the fact the president, I mean, even has the richest man in the world going through our government documents and can be accused by that same person that he is a PDF file that loved Jeffrey Epstein is pretty insane. And Trump is really weird, a very weird and nasty guy. Like, he's very weird. Like, I would not be surprised at all if he's creepy with young girls, or if he was. I would just say, like, not everything is on both sides. There's some stuff that is on one side. Like with Epstein and girls, okay, you could say Biden sniffed hair. Well, Trump, no, that's the thing too. Like, they say, well, Biden was sniffing hair and giving girls these close hugs. Like, and then Trump is literally out there partying with Jeffrey Epstein for like 10 years straight. Jeffrey Epstein says they're best friends, and Trump says he's best friends with P. Diddy, and P. Diddy's a great guy. And it's like, that's not evidence enough at all to have a conspiracy. But all these videos of Biden just like hugging a young girl when we know that he's like old and dying, so he's probably moving slow. Like, that's enough evidence. It's just really weird, the inconsistency.
Yeah, I don't think we could say for sure that Trump was hanging out with young girls with Epstein, because we don't have any evidence, once again, that he was on the client list. But anyway, one thing that I do want to end with, so last time I was telling you about why my dad never really wants to conversate, because to me, pretty much what politics has become now is, oh, we disagree? Let's conversate. Let's talk about this whenever, I don't know, I think there's just I wouldn't, it's kind of difficult, because I think there's a lot of extra conversations that's going on. Like, I'm with going out and talking to people with, like, for example, what Charlie's doing with Turning Point, talking to young voters at colleges and stuff like that. But I do think that there is a little too much, like, just dumb conversations that don't even need to be had. Like, whether it's agreeing with people, or I think disagreeing and talking to people with that you disagree with is more important, 100%. But, like, for example, whenever we went to whenever I went to the Turning Point event in Boise on April 15th, it was, I think after an hour there, they said, okay, no more agreements, just disagreements we're talking about. I think that's good, because if you were just agreeing with people you talk to all the time, nothing's ever going to get done, because they're all just going to say the same things. And so I think there's a little bit too much of just agreeing and wasting time talking about all that.
Well, I you know what? I don't think Trump has said one thing that's intelligent this entire presidency, so I can't even debate Trump anymore, or about Trump. I don't know. I don't know what to believe. I don't think Trump knows what to believe. I think Trump's just kind of there for the ride, to be honest. So maybe he should he should have a podcast. He should go on Turning Point. He should debate college students. If Trump okay, like, think about, like, do you think Trump is, like, intelligent?
I think he is,
Do you
personally,
think,
but
like,
I think he
okay.
was a lot sharper in 2016 than he is now. I
Do
will
you
say
think,
that.
like, compared to Charlie Kirk and versus Trump in 2016, who do you think is more intelligent?
Probably Charlie.
Okay, like, when you think about if college students debated Trump on issues and brought up points, like, in every interview I've seen of Trump, he just says, "Your question is so nasty. That's so unfair. You're stupid." He's never given a real response to any question I've ever seen. So I don't know if he'd be able to handle all the students that Charlie does.
I don't think that he says that every time, because, like, for example, before he was president, taking questions and doing all that, I don't think he was saying that's a really nasty. Like, I did see the one video of him talking to the one interviewer, and he said that's a stupid question. To be fair, I think it was. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I do remember thinking that it was dumb too. I can't remember the exact question, but yeah, I think it would be entertaining to watch Trump debate college students. But at the same
He'd have
time,
nothing
though,
to say. He would just insult
that
people.
maybe. But I don't think that's also a good idea because I know there are a lot of people. If they had the opportunity, they would probably kill him or do another assassination attempt on him.
I'm not
And
saying
I
for
don't.
that reason even. I'm just saying like imagine a scenario where Trump had to have an intelligent conversation without being able to hide behind a bunch of like mean insults. I feel like he would die like cry on camera. You know, like he would not be able to respond to anything.
Oh, I don't know. I think he should do it eventually. I think that'd be fun to watch, see how he does. But I don't think he's gonna cry on camera. But we may disagree.
You got
All
me
right, I
suspended
got
on
him.
TikTok for disinformation.
I did.
Yeah.
What did I get wrong?
I forget. Oh, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? I
I
don't care
think I
about streaming
got
on TikTok.
someone suspended on TikTok. It was this one girl. I said the R word apparently.
That's not good.
Retall, that one. Apparently,
Nice.
I can't say that on TikTok
Yeah.
or whatever. I think that's stupid. I think we should be able to say that. This TikTok, they use America. They work in America, so I think that we should have First Amendment right to say whatever we want. But anyway, I'm gonna leave you on that. Have a great night.
All right, have a good night. See you.
Bye.
Tell you what, guys. I might just go DoorDash. Let's see. Oh, I am exhausted. I'm exhausted from everything. Politics is so stupid, over and over and over again. I'm officially I'm officially a campaign chair or like a campaign manager of a local candidate. So that's fun.
Hey, it's me. I can't get to the phone right now.
What's going on there?
Go fuck your mother.
Just keep doing what you're doing.
I hate you.
That's awesome. Like, thank you. The caller was funny. Oh, Raceland, yeah. I don't know. That's whatever. Trying to breathe consciousness into AI. I might just have to become a full-time TikToker, honestly. Like I need cash this week for something. So I can go DoorDash instead of doing this, or I can go TikTok, and it'll be more worth it because the TikTok algorithm's better. Like the TikTok algorithm actually popped off. Like it's easier to understand and to use. But this is just like crazy on YouTube. Even the pay on TikTok's better. Start dancing, yeah. That's what I'm saying. I start dancing on TikTok, dude. Ah, man. It's so tiring. Like what we have, like. Oh my god, dude.
My friend Colin Plume from Noble Gold Investments just released his new book, Silver is the New Today, and how to invest before the world catches on. I've read Silver is the New Oil, and you should too. Get it now, available on Amazon.
Crazy how much they grift. They grift so much, dude. They really do grift so much. It's insane. Holy crap. Would you fly with a DEI pilot, bro?
Last year you said something about DEI, unqualified black pilots. You see a pilot on a black pilot. Don't you think it was an irresponsible statement suggesting that maybe these pilots aren't qualified or unqualified?
No. But I'll tell you exactly what I said and why I said it.
Okay, go ahead.
I said the pretext. I went through a whole windup. I said United Airlines is saying that they want 40% of all their pilots to be people of color or women. We have learned that we have relaxed standards anytime that we try to reach racial quotas. Anytime we reach racial quotas, we relax the standards.
That's made up, by the way. That's made up. So some of the highest performing companies in American history, the highest performing, like Apple, for example, Apple still is maintaining their DEI. Arguably the most successful American company in the past 20 years, okay? They have been very committed to DEI. They are still committed. Their board voted to keep DEI even after Trump started to attack it.
Standards for air traffic control, professors, or college admissions. Therefore, when it comes to pilots or surgeons, if I see somebody who is black, as I said on the show, I'm going to hope that person.
And also, pilots or surgeons, all it would mean, okay, is we are going to open our hiring pool to more demographics of qualified people, okay? We are going to open our hiring pool to more demographics of qualified people, all right? It's not we're going to go hire whatever black guy we can find to be a surgeon or to be a pilot. But Charlie Kirk knows this. He knows this. He knows this. He's not really this dumb, okay? He knows his audience is dumb, pushovers, lazy, doesn't do research. He knows his audience will accept the racism, so he can lie about it, and he knows it.
And is qualified. That's what I said, which of course is legitimate, because they're begging the question, we're not hiring based on merit anymore. We're hiring based on race.
Begging the question.
So when you see a black pilot, you wonder, boy, is that person there because they earned it or because they were placed there? That's what DEI does. It makes you ask questions you otherwise would not ask.
So the airline industry is going to take an unqualified person just based off the diversity.
Underqualified, not
underqualified.
Underqualified, not underqualified. Huh.
Underqualified, whatever, uncertified.
Well,
put them in a cockpit and risk people's lives?
Those are two different things. Under and un are two different things. Of course, United Airlines will not take someone off the side of the street and put them in a pilot. But in order to reach a 40% goal, they might cut corners. They might accelerate the process in order to reach a goal. We know this through all sorts of DEI examinations and projects over the last 10 years.
All sorts.
You have to choose in life. Either excellence or racial quotas will end up being the most important, and both cannot simultaneously.
Either excellence or racial quotas will become the most important.
It's never happened before.
Okay, so when we talk about DEI, well, who benefits the most? Because black people really don't. It's only like maybe 3 to 4% of black people actually benefit from those programs. So who benefits the most?
True. Such a small percentage of DEI programs go to black people, for example. Like 5% of DEI programs do go to black people. But the vast majority are non-racial things. Okay, DEI does affect things like gender, things like, it does affect race, it does affect military veteran status, disability, it affects gender, it affects class background. DEI, the idea that it's just a race thing, shows how people view it as a race thing, and that shows they're being racist when they critique it.
I'm not sure your question. I mean, theoretically, if 40% of all pilots end up being black people or people of color.
That's not. I actually looked it up. It's only like maybe about 6% of pilots.
Their goal is 40%, right? That's the point. It's like that's actually a great point. So they wanted to go from 6% to 40%. And so you have to wonder, boy, you go from 6% to 40%, there's going to be a relaxing of standards.
Okay, I guess the way let me see if I can rephrase this. So essentially when you talk about DEI, affirmative action, or anything to that effect.
I'm against all of it, yeah.
Okay, yeah, and that would be fine. The thing is that now it's actually, referenced as a slur against, essentially if you see a black person in a position or, minority or whatever.
DEIA.
The assumption is that person is not qualified when
accessibility.
Literally, and, you have to be qualified in order to even to get in that position.
Well, so let's take college admissions. So this is a great example. At Harvard, we learned because of new revealed documents that black students were having test scores that were 30 to 35% lower.
Affirmative action is different from DEI. Again, DEI is we're going to hire from more demographics of qualified individuals. We're not going to lower standards or lower scores to accept anyone else. And also, you can argue that affirmative action does not lower standards. You would just say that, for example, we're going to take into account other background things as well. So if a poor student, scores really low on a test, we might take them over a rich student who got a higher score, all right? because the person who scored a little bit lower is from a working class background, and they had to fight through more to get to where they are. So therefore, they are a more valuable candidate. Okay, there's a difference between DEI and affirmative action. You could say affirmative action came from the same school of thought as DEI, but they are very distinct. They are very distinct things. And DEI itself is not bad, okay? A lot of whites are DEI hires. A lot of rural whites especially are DEI hires at many universities.
Than their white counterparts.
Okay.
And so, therefore, if you saw a black kid at Harvard, it's a fact that they were not having the same test standards as their white counterparts.
Still doesn't matter. The kid has to get through. He's got to get through the classes, do the tests, do all the research.
Well, they actually
pass
drop out
everything.
at a greater rate too. But the point being is, just the idea that they were there, number one, took a spot from an otherwise qualified individual that might be white. And they were not there on the same merits. So what we want is the same rules for everybody.
You're making the assumption that they're not qualified in order to get in. In order to even get there,
It's not
be
the assumption,
considered.
it's the data. So
It's never the same rules for everybody, no matter what. There's never going to be the same rules for everybody. Okay, there's a reason that programs dedicated to helping poor kids become college students, okay, those programs are going to have high failure rates, okay? Expensive colleges that cost tons of money to get into, that require higher test scores, they're going to have higher graduation rates because the people going to these colleges are going to be from rich families, okay? There is no equal standard in America. There's never going to be. There's never going to be an equal standard. Unless if every person had the same income, same parenting, same neighborhood, same friends, same coaches, same school, same everything. You know, the way Charlie Kirk talks here is more idealistic and utopian than communists, okay? Like, obviously, you're going to have higher dropout rates if you're pulling from populations that had to go through shit. It makes sense. If you're from a pretty pampered background, you're probably going to be fine getting through college. It doesn't matter what happens to you, all right? And many of those students, by the way, have to drop out because their family back home needs them to come back and work and help them survive because they're from a shitty background. So they got to go help their family survive. They don't have time to drop their entire lives to go to campus and party and do classes. There's a whole, and this is why Charlie Kirk hates sociology. There's a whole book, there's tons of books, a whole section of sociological research talking about how poor kids handle going to private universities and public and any university or college with a bunch of other kids who are rich, all right? The poor kids always suffer because of their background. They always suffer. I hate this idea that it's like equal opportunity. That's not how anything ever works.
So, for example, it's literally at Harvard, you had kids with perfect SAT scores, perfect ACT scores that were white.
So that makes a degree from Harvard worthless then.
Well, you're exactly right. Yeah, actually, Harvard's degree is becoming more worthless because it's more race-based than merit-based. You're exactly right.
Okay, now we talked enough about that. Okay, so in the past you made statements about black privilege. So can you explain that to me and what it is? And
Yeah, of
how
course.
black
I mean,
people
it's
get over?
easier for a black person to get into college than a white person. You get with lower test scores. It's called affirmative action.
Okay, so that's been so college admissions has been affirmative action for college admissions has been struck down.
Thank you. Yeah.
So
I'll give you another example. What percentage of TV commercials have black people versus white people?
I'm not sure about that, but
About
white
40
people are also in commercials.
About
so I don't-
40. Well, this is important. About 40 to 50% of all network TV commercials have a person of color right now. What percentage of America is a person of color?
A person of color or black person?
At least for black people, I know we're about 13%.
Yeah, it's about so 13% of the population, nearly half of all the TV commercials.
He said person of color, not just black. He said person of color. Oh yeah, I forgot. Conservatives are too stupid to understand numbers.
White people
Sorry.
still in the commercials.
Yes, but underrepresented as proportional, though. The point being, I can give you another example. Easier to get corporate jobs. There are entire departments that are dedicated to just try and expand racial quotas.
You know what would really fix this from the beginning had you not had all the. So why do we have DI in the first place? Because this is the problem that creates. So why was DI necessary in the first place? Or people, or at least the government thought it was necessary in the first place.
Why do I think that it was?
No, why would the government?
Do you want my well-intentioned explanation or the?
Whatever you got.
I mean, DEI was obviously about trying to destroy the excellence of the country and elevate racial tribal politics.
Trying to destroy the excellence of the country and elevate racial tribal politics. When DEI was first conceived in the 60s, okay, after slavery, after Reconstruction, after Jim Crow, after all these things, black people could not have their own bank accounts, they could not own homes, they could not be getting loans in certain areas that were redlined, okay? After all this history, all right, we have these programs that call for equal opportunity employment, and businesses need to not discriminate against people in their hiring process. They need to expand their horizons and make sure they look at, different demographic groups in an equitable way. After all that, Charlie Kirk says we had these policies in place in the 60s to sow racial division. Yeah, bro. It's also Obama's fault America's racist. It's Obama's fault. Do you know how many white people say to me that Obama made them racist? Nice.
Okay, so if you don't have the racism, right, and then you'll need that program. So you eradicate the racism, and that eliminates the need for any kind of program.
No, but if you have excellence, you're going to find the
that
best.
tries to take people and put them in place because they're minorities.
You want the best in everything. So let me just ask a final question, okay? If you were about to board a United Airlines flight from Tallahassee to Atlanta, and you find out the airline pilot says, "Hey, everybody, I'm a pilot. I was hired because of diversity. Let's have a great flight." Would that make?
If the pilot says, "Hi, I'm a pilot. I was hired because of diversity. Have a great flight." Is this how people who are racist think about the world? Actually, wait a second. What did Charlie Kirk just say to me? Just say to this individual he's debating? If the pilot says, "Hey guys, I'm only here because I'm black," and they needed another black in here, another black to fly the plane because of the DEI quotas, what kind of question? What kind of question is that, bro? I get concerned when our transportation secretary is talking about DEI when we don't have flights taken off because our air traffic controllers all left because the Trump management of government sucks so bad. Or when our new FEMA director has no idea what hurricane season is. All right, that's a real story. Our FEMA director does not know what hurricane season is. All right, I get concerned when our defense secretary is a raging drunk who can't keep his text messages secure. All right, that's the lack of excellence I'm concerned about. Real displays of incompetence. But Charlie Kirk needs to make up this fictional depiction of a pilot, a black pilot that says, "Hey guys, I'm only here because I'm a black. They made me be black because I have to be a diversity hire." Charlie Kirk needs to make up this fake situation to explain his point. But we have countless examples of the Trump admin hiring the worst, most unprepared people in the world because of nepotism, because they're in like a mafia together, and because they're really bad. And Trump likes having bad people around him, like Jeffrey Epstein, who he was best friends with.
Make you feel good or not?
But again, Trump's not racist because Trump also was best friends with P. Diddy, so he likes all the races if they do those things.
Not so good.
No, but I know he's still got to be qualified in order to fly that aircraft.
But he said, "I was hired because of diversity," and you're like,
You still got to meet the standards in order to get into the cockpit.
well, again, we know because air traffic controllers and many others, they relax those standards. When you have a surgeon,
You're saying that, but look, you're not. It does not make sense. It's irresponsible not only to say that, but to actually put unqualified people in risk lives.
but we know that's actually happening every day, and that's why it doesn't make sense. But racial